Hey everybody, it's been a week, so I guess it's time for the second Sight and Sound update, and we just ended week 3. So this past week I was with stage management, and it was a really interesting experience. I think that I really enjoyed it. Well, not think, I know that I really enjoyed it. So how to describe stage management. Sight and Sound does stage management a little bit differently than most theaters do it. So I'll try to explain what I think that the standard is for most theaters, and then I'll explain what Sight and Sound does and hope that it makes sense. So stage management for most theaters is a single stage management. I can't speak today. A single stage manager, and under them is 1 to maybe a few, or 2 or 3 assistant stage managers, who kind of help to kind of execute what the stage manager is asking. But at Sight and Sound, the stage management team does not have assistant stage management. Everybody in the team is considered a stage manager. Which is really interesting, and how they explained it to me was this was kind of a new concept for them for the past few years, but the reason they do it is because they put on average around 11 shows a week, so that's a lot more than a regular theater, and it's also a lot larger than a regular theater, so it's just easier and a little bit more consistent when they have everyone equipped to do everything within that role. Yeah, so every show there are 3 different stage managers on site. Forgive me, I apparently really can't speak today. So one of the stage managers is in the booth in the back of the auditorium, and they are calling the show, which is where they're over headset and connected to everyone who's working backstage and saying, for example, drops, which are the big curtain-like things, to come down and go up, and ramps that we have to go down and go up, and the palace to move forward and back, etc., etc. And they have a clock that they time it with so that every single show is consistent, with obviously every other show, just for safety reasons, because since our set is so big and so heavy and we have so many different technical things, when we don't have it set with the time, there's a lot that can go wrong. We've seen kind of some of that with just technical error, but I won't get into that. But it was really neat to sit up there for 3 shows and see how they make decisions if there's a technical error or an animal decides to not behave that day. So really what they do is problem solve, from what they see and what they hear from backstage. The other 2 stage managers who are backstage have different tracks they do to help out the crew who's backstage, and they're kind of just the eyes and the ears for the stage manager who's calling, other than obviously the crew if something goes wrong, to let the other stage manager know. So within that, sometimes, depending on the track, the stage manager on one side will take some animals back to the barn. On another side, they could be helping with some wardrobe and quick changes. It just depends on what part of the show and what side they're on. But they're essentially just keeping eyes and ears open to see what is going on. If something's gone wrong, how can they help? That kind of thing. So that was really cool. Let's see. I think that was all for stage management. By the end of the week, we did get to run most of the tracks backstage. Obviously, we couldn't call the show for various reasons, but we did get to make some calls, depending on who we were working with, which was pretty cool. Yeah, so I think that was the work week. So what else? Sight and Sound has a reciprocal program, so we were able to go to Silver Dollar City, which is an amusement park here, for free. It was really hot because I think that the humidity index was like 50%, and one of the girls that we went with said it was like 96 degrees. Still haven't fully adjusted to the weather here. I don't think I will. So that was a little bit unpleasant, but it was a lot of fun to get to go and kind of explore. And I think that we plan to go back when the weather's a little bit nicer, if it gets nicer, considering that we are entering the month of July. So I guess we'll just have to see how it goes from here on out. Hopefully we'll end up back there though. It was a lot of fun. We also got to be plugged into a Bible study that some of the girls from Sight and Sound put together, and just get to hang out. We were studying the book of Habakkuk today, and we were there for 3 hours, which was really cool, because a lot of the time when we're working, we get to sit down and eat lunch, for example, but we're all pretty worn out just because obviously we're working, and it's a pretty labor-intensive job depending on what you're doing. So although we can kind of build connections there, it's really nice to be invited to something outside of work just to kind of build a few more connections. I know that it's been a little bit difficult for me just to really build friendships here because obviously everyone is so kind and nice and will go out of their way to talk to you. The only problem is when we're moving around so fast each week to different departments and hanging out with different people, we get to know those people kind of at, not really a surface level, I would say, because they're all pretty open, but you don't really get to build connections with them as easily as you would if, for example, I was working with the same group of people for the last 3 weeks. So yeah, that's just been a little bit different, but I think that we'll make it, that's just something that has definitely been a little bit more challenging, but everything's okay. And other than that, I'm trying to think. Well, I guess I'll just tell you what's going on next week. Well, I guess tomorrow. Tomorrow we start our week with the lighting department. So that'll be interesting because we'll get to shadow the board, a deck electrician, and the spotlight operators. I truthfully know nothing about lighting other than you plug the outlet into the wall and you turn on the light and it works. So it'll be interesting. There will be a lot to learn, but I'm really looking forward to it. Everyone that we've met from lighting so far is really sweet and really wants to get to know who you are and teach us what they do. And I definitely need to learn a lot when it comes to lighting. So I can't wait for that. But yeah. Oh, I guess I have a different update regarding Sight and Sound. If you guys would keep me in your prayers, our kind of boss, Amanda, has allowed us to work in a slot to audition for the casting director at Sight and Sound on, I believe, July 13th, somewhere around there. So that's really exciting and really nerve-wracking, and we shouldn't have this opportunity, but the Lord has blessed us and opened this door. So please just be praying that whatever the Lord wills, that it will come to happen. We're very excited and just trying to get everything in order for this to be a good experience for us. But yeah, so I think that's it. I hope that everyone has a wonderful week, and yeah, I guess I'll give an update next week. See you later.